Welcome back to Sydney Harbour, ladies and gents, and I think this is a boat that appeals to pretty much everyone. Well,
Yeah.
a lot of people.
I think so, yeah. It's nice size, good entry-level size, really well laid out, so it's going to be a good day.
Going to be a good tour.
Sailing, yeah.
Going to be a good tour. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the Jeanneau Sun Odyssey 350. This is the new model, the replacement to the super popular 349. I'm going to grab the camera, and Andrew's going to lead the tour as we do now. And we'll start here at the bow.
Okay, thanks, Dan. So, yeah, a couple of small, subtle changes between the 349 and the 350. On the boat now, we've got the integrated bowsprit and anchor roller, which is nice. By changing the design, we no longer have a bobstay, which means it just keeps the bow of the boat a bit cleaner. So we can see right out on the end of the bowsprit, that's the Jeanneau takeoff point for the tack line.
Mm-hmm.
We then have our anchor in position, and this is quite neat. Because there's more load on it, this is the takeoff point for the Code Zero tack.
Okay.
So it's tied in with the anchor roller because there's a lot more load on that on the luff.
Yep.
So as we come aft, we've got the standard furling unit. You can put a flat deck furling unit on.
Which will just give you a bit more sail area.
Gives you a little bit more luff length because everything is moved further down.
Yep.
So it makes the boat look a little sleeker when you're sailing.
Yep.
Anchor locker is pretty standard, but again, as they're always trying to improve, the old anchor locker was flatter through this section here. They've now put more slope on it.
Yep.
So the chain just falls into the anchor locker
Bit
nicely.
easier to manage.
We've got a remote. We've got a remote here, and there is an option to have a remote back at the helm.
Okay.
Decent mooring cleats here, and as we're seeing more and more, it's become the standard. Good tow rails along the full foredeck area.
Yep.
Furling line runs aft back to the cockpit, which is nice. The boat has one opening hatch, and that gives ventilation into the owner's cabin or the forward cabin. These are a local option, but I think they're really neat. Because there are vents here to keep the air circulating even though the hatch is shut, these covers have been integrated into the hatch, and I think that's really smart because taking the hatch covers on and off can be a hassle.
Yeah.
And that's a really nice locally made Australian option.
Very smart, I think.
Yep.
Yep.
Moving aft, we've got the standard Selden mast, and this boat's configured with 2 reefs and a standard Dacron mainsail from, I think it's from Elstrom. Oh no, it's a French loft. We'll be able to check that when we go sailing.
Yeah.
We're doing this because there's no wind on Sydney Harbour at the moment, so we're doing a quick run through the deck before we go for a sail.
All good.
So yeah, standard mainsail with a lazy bag, which is nice. Everything's self-contained. As was the case with the 349, the boat has an adjustable jib car system, which is becoming more and more popular. So this line here pulls the clew in and out.
Yep.
And this line here, which runs aft as well, lets the clew go up and down. So you've got pretty well unlimited control of your sail shape, which is nice. Outhaul is here on the boom, which is nice because it's always hard to find somewhere to run that on cruising boats. And we've got the German main sheet system with plenty of purchase. So that's going to make trimming the main nice and easy and takes all the pressure away. As we move aft, we've got another hatch over the main saloon area. Same cover, which is nice. Boom vang runs aft on the starboard side.
And I like how the deck's nice and wide and relatively clear.
Yeah, they are. And look, that's one of the key features between this boat and the 349. It's 150 millimetres wider, which allowed them to make the side decks a little bit wider and give you better access fore and aft. As we come aft, got good handrails here, which is nice. Rubbing strakes on the deck so we don't chafe out the gel coat. Really good non-skid, which is nice to see on a sailing yacht. Helps you move around when the decks are wet and the boat's heeled over. This is the stainless steel spray dodger frame. It's been removed, so but obviously you can just plug that back in if you're using it. The boat doesn't have a traveller. It's got this bridle system, which again has become quite popular. But we've got a good amount of purchase in that, so that really allows you to get the right amount of main sheet tension to set the mainsail up nicely.
Why would a manufacturer go without a traveller and opt for this system instead?
Look, it's a couple of things. It's lighter, it's simpler. with single central main sheeting, it's really hard to have an adjustable traveller because you're putting so much pressure on the middle of the boom.
Right.
And a lot of cruising boats used to have a traveller here, but it's got so much friction in it, you can barely pull it. So by keeping the bridle here, what that does is it keeps the block closer to the boom.
Yep.
So when you ease the main, or when you sheet the main on, you can keep the boom close to the centre line.
Okay.
Every bit of distance you come down means you lose more of the boom to leeward. So when you're trying to sheet the main on hard and keep it near the centre line, you actually end up quite a way to leeward. So it's a nice, neat, simple system. And this has been, you know, what guys have been using on 505s and 470s for 40 years. So it's nothing new.
Nothing new.
Yep.
Yep. All right. Good, simple solution then.
Simple's good. All of our control lines run aft and they're nicely labelled, done by the local importer. Yeah, this is a unique thing.
This is super cool.
We saw this on the Sun Odyssey 380.
Yeah.
So instead of clambering over the cockpit and coamings and onto the seats, this walk-through deck makes life really easy. And as we get further aft, we're fully inside the boat. Really safe way to passage from the cockpit to the bow and on the way back again.
Also imagine if you had the Dodger up in place and an infill between the Bimini and the Dodger, you could actually put clears down this just on the backrest of the seats there and turn it into a cabin.
And that's what we saw on the 380.
Exactly.
So it means you can enclose the cockpit when you're at anchor if the weather's not perfect.
Yep.
Still get sun protection. You can get some side protection from the rain.
And still reach the decks.
You've still got full deck access.
Yeah.
So that's really functional.
Yep.
As we come aft, our helm position's nice, and we've got all of our standard controls here. This is a spinnaker sheeting takeoff point. More mooring cleats aft. Gas locker storage here. Stainless steel wheels with leather covers, which is has a nice quality feel to it. In terms of sailing controls, our main sheet and our jib sheet are both here, within really easy reach of the helm. So that's a nice touch. Little drink holder here, which is always handy. And then we've got our instrument displays here. We've got our autopilot on the outer side of the port side, and then a standard Raymarine display here. Another drink holder there. There's a pattern developing here. But, anyway.
Australian sailors.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so on this side here, we've got a lazarette, which is life raft stowage. And that's a nice safety feature.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
These things are heavy. You don't want to be hauling that off an inconvenient place when you're in a rush.
Well, when you need to lift a life raft, normally you find that inner strength to do it. Yeah. But let's take the hard work out of it.
You've spoken from experience, I know that.
You've got enough on when you need the life raft. You don't need any obstacles.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got another lazarette here.
Yep. And now we put the entire boat's fenders in that one.
Yep.
So like there's over 6, I think, in there right now.
Yep. So this is really good stowage. That works nicely.
Yep.
And the handle for the bilge pump, which is located here aft, that's just stowed here in some clips. Got to push down. The fenders are trying to escape.
I'll put some pressure on that with the fenders.
Yep. Okay. So on this side we've got our bilge pump and shower, and on the starboard helm, same thing, leather covered wheels, compass, chart plotter, throttle controls, and we'll see how they go when we're doing our motoring test later.
Do you want to just see how difficult or not difficult the purchase system is for the platform?
Yeah.
If you're trying to do it like by yourself?
Yeah.
Because these things are bloody heavy.
Yeah, they are. But there's a decent purchase system in it.
Yeah, okay, that works.
Yeah, so that works fine. And then...
Yeah. And then you just lock it off.
Then you can just lock it off here.
And obviously there's some safety rails that join.
Yeah, safety aft lifelines go here.
Exactly.
And then there's a safety strop on the other side so you can't overextend the platform.
Yes, that looks like Spectra.
Yep.
Cool.
And then, swim ladder integrated into that.
That's good, you won't trip over it.
So
now, is that throttle handle convenient if you're from a seated position or standing?
Yeah, look, it's perfect. If you're seated, this is actually quite a nice position to sit.
Yeah.
You got a foot chock here, and it's within easy reach. So, no dramas. If you come into the marina, you can be sitting here.
Yep.
looking at the dock, you know, as you're coming in, control your speed, stop the boat. That feels really good.
Yeah.
And we've got a nice bimini here to give us a little bit of protection from the sun.
Yeah, essential here. Excellent. Okay. What have we? I think we've covered everything. Let's start making our way. Obviously, this is the 2-cabin version.
Yes.
It is available in a 3-cabin. Why don't we go downstairs and show people the layout first, because there's an amazing storage lazarette. We might finish with that.
I think so. It'd be worth coming back to that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just so you can tie it all in.
Yeah, sounds good. All right.
Okay, let's go down below.
So, of the previous 349, which this is superseded, I think 53 of those were sold in Australia, and 50 of them were the 2-cabin model.
Yeah, that's right. You know, super popular.
So that tells a story, doesn't it?
Well, people tend to forget that when you're buying a yacht like this, you're buying it for yourself. You're not buying it for your friends. And so, if you're going to if you want to have your own main cabin, and then you want to have some friends on board, there's heaps of room for 6 people. But why give up all the extra accommodation and stowage for the odd occasion when you might invite someone along?
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in our yacht sales days selling 3-cabin 37-foot sailing yachts because the owner was sure that his friends were going to come and join him. And then, you know, 5 years later, when you sell it secondhand, never happened. It was just always him and his partner.
No, exactly.
And he was like, I regret that. I wish I had the extra space.
Exactly. And look, as we go through the boat, you'll see the benefits of going to the 2-cabin layout.
Yeah.
So before we start in too much detail, as I said before, the main differences between this boat and the 349, which it replaced, is they made the actual boat 150 millimetres wider, and that gives us a bit more space down below, obviously, but it also gives us those wide side decks that can slope all the way down to the stern. So that's a big key point. In the cockpit here, or in the saloon here, this span between the settees is 90 millimetres, or almost 4 inches wider. So that's where we pick up a bit more space. And we've also got a little bit more width at this bulkhead and a little bit further forward, which makes the forward berth a little bit bigger than the predecessor. The distance from the bow to this bulkhead is the same. There's been no change there. And as we can see, we've got a really nice V-berth. There's stowage under the berth, but not a lot because we've got water tanks under there.
Got it.
So this is the standard configuration for the water tank. It's in the bow. We've got our fuel tanks back aft on the starboard side, and there's an option to put a second water tank in the aft area, either in the 3rd cabin or under the lazarette.
Right.
And that seems to be quite popular.
Okay.
And if you're racing, or you like to do a bit of racing, that makes sense because you don't have any weight in the bow.
Sure.
Water in the bow will really slow you down.
And then it'll cause the boat to pitch.
Yeah, but then when you want to go cruising, you can fill that up and you've got another 150 litres of water.
Yeah, sure.
So we've got nice stowage here. The obligatory catch that doesn't stick. So yeah, that's good for books and a few personal items.
And you can see we've actually got blinds that pull out from behind that.
Yeah.
Just in there.
Yeah, so we can see on the starboard side that's shut.
I'll get around the corner because we do actually have, this dealer's fitted fans, but that's a factory option now. And there is some little lockers. This is an owned boat, so I'm not opening them all, but you do have some storage. And then this one's slightly different design there. Okay, I'll follow you back aft. So yeah, coming aft, I really like the layout with the twin doors in the owner's cabin because it really opens the boat up. I think this light interior with the light upholstery on the main bulkhead, a light timber and a light headliner really brings the boat alive, gives it a light airy feeling. The fans are a nice touch. We've got a hatch here which has got a vent in it, so it can actually work when the hatch is shut if it's raining. And then we've got twin opening side ports. So just as a comment, it's probably a little bit light on for cross ventilation. But But you know, you could fit a barbie out the back and just do most of your cooking out there, just do cups of tea and coffee down
The
here.
other thing too is, really in most sailing or boating areas, we want to be outside.
Yeah.
And we're only really down here
Just
when
sleep.
we're sleeping, cooking, or if it's raining.
Yeah.
And if it's raining, we don't need, it's not going to be that hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's probably by some standards, it's maybe a little light on for cross ventilation, but the rest of the boat just, has a lovely feel to it. This boat's got the optional chart table, and it was interesting speaking to Lee that when he was ordering the boat, he spoke to a lot of his existing 349 clients and said, chart table, yes or no? And they all said yes.
Interesting. So it's still a thing.
Yep. And he said, well, what do you use it for? And they said, as soon as we get to the boat, we put our wallet, our car keys, our phone, our charger in there.
Yep. So do we all.
It's the safe place. It's dry.
So no one's navigating from it anymore, but it's the valuable storage.
And it's dry.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was really interesting because when Lee was at one of the boat shows, he had potential buyers on board who don't own a yacht.
Yep.
And he said, would you like the chart table? And they all said no.
I wonder whether the chart tables on yachts will start to evolve into the work from home mini office area. So it's like a storage, and we start to see screens mounted on bulkheads.
For sure.
Or mounting places for your laptops.
Yep.
So it's a bit of a dual purpose space. Maybe that's the future.
I think so.
Lots and lots of charge points.
Yep.
And it's still a control station for your systems.
And being in the chart area.
Yeah.
There's nearly always a USB port, a 12-volt socket.
Yep.
And if you've got shore power, there'll be 240-volt socket.
Yeah, exactly.
And, we were only sailing on another boat yesterday, and the owner does a lot of his work on the boat.
Yeah.
And he, hotspots through his phone.
Correct.
So, yeah, I think that is going to become a thing, but not for navigation.
Exactly.
So
that's all moved up to the helm. Was there much storage underneath these seats?
Let's have a look.
There we go.
Oh, we got our hot water unit here.
Okay.
So that's nice and central. Again, keeping the weight in the middle of the boat. There should be some storage.
Remembering it's not a performance. Yeah. It's not a. Well, everyone's racing these boats.
Yeah, exactly.
So I shouldn't say it's not a performance. It is.
So that's a good amount of storage there. Nice table here with wine bottle storage inside, which is nice.
Yep. Double leaves.
Yep. And those, they're decent sized leaves. And the nice thing about this load is when you're not using them, you've got really good access through the boat. The galley is pretty conventional. So Corian is now standard for the bench tops, which is a nice touch. A single stainless steel sink with hot and cold mixer. We've got a top opening fridge here and a small freezer unit. So that's nice. Good working bench space here. Yeah, thank you. Good bench space here. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, there is. There's an infill here.
Okay, good. Which
is great because it can become, more bench space, which you're always short of on most yachts and boats. Eno gas oven with a 2-burner stove. So that's nice.
Gimbaled.
Yeah, obviously gimbaled. Good storage here with garbage bins port and starboard there.
Yep. I note that the 240 sockets on shore power now have a USB integration, USB-A at least.
Yep. And I think that's, we're just seeing more and more of that in boats now as people expect.
So many devices.
They expect to be able to charge everything and use everything.
The other thing which could be the future is USB-C plugs on all of these seats behind all of them because everyone's going to want to charge their phones.
Yeah.
Maybe that's another thing we'll start to see.
Exactly. Really plenty of stowage in the galley.
Yep.
So that's nice. Oh, this is nice. A little drawer here.
Very good.
Yep.
So let's start to talk about the differences between the 2 and the 3 cabin because this is where it's going to be the decision factor for a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So with the 3 cabin, you obviously have two aft cabins, and then the head moves to here, and you just end up with a lot less space.
Yeah.
So if we let's have a look at the aft cabin first, Dan. If you go in there and film that.
So I can see opening, 1, 2 opening, but 3 windows in total. And then we've got our batteries just there. And then we've got some lockers on starboard. But one thing I do note, the bed comes across past the centre line in this 2-cabin version, as opposed to meeting in the centre line. And then, we've got aft and side engine access just here. So that's handy. Let's just have a look in there.
I dare say you'd probably lose that when you go to the 3-cabin.
Yeah.
Because that bulkhead will be smack bang in the middle of the boat.
Or
is it
looking at this, it's narrow. I think you might still just get it in.
Yeah.
Because this looks like the centre line just here
so
in the moulding.
1, 2, so bear with me. 1, 2, yep, okay.
Yeah, I think
centre
you do.
line's about there.
Yeah,
So,
and you can see it in the moulding here.
Yep.
So they've just, that makes sense.
Okay, well that's good. I mean, you can never have enough access to the engine.
Correct.
And we'll come back to the engine access later. But I think the big kicker for the 2-cabin version is not only, you just get a much bigger head, but you get a separate shower.
Oh, it's almost a no-brainer. Unless you have kids and you have to have that extra bed. I mean, this is, if you had the 3-cabin, you've just got this toilet and this vanity here, and then this bulkhead is actually now gone because that's going into the 3rd cabin. But with this layout, look at that. Separate stand-up shower with an opening window for ventilation and access into that lazarette.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's key because it's a deep lazarette, so you do need access from down here as well.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you can't reach the stuff at the bottom.
100%. And there's just so much you could do with this. Oh, there's even a window. Oh, obviously there is a window because this is, or could also be a cabin.
Yes, that's right.
But you can put everything, depending on how you're going to cruise the boat, you could put extra batteries or all sorts of stuff, everything.
Yeah, all your toys.
And it goes aft, tucks in underneath just there. And I can see there must be, through those panels in the back, there must be further access into the lazarette storage aft of that.
Which is good if you ever need to do any work in that area.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. A bit more storage in there. So the holding tank must be behind here.
Holding tank should be here, yes. Yeah. Oh, no, that shows it there. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the 2-cabin layout is a cracker because this is a fantastic head for a 35-foot yacht.
I know, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah. That's awesome. Let's have a look at that engine.
Okay. So this gives us access to the 29 horsepower engine. It's pretty good access. It's a nice Yanmar unit.
You do have to get down a little bit, which is a slight disadvantage, but it's not the end of the world.
But I think everyone's got to remember it's a 35-footer.
Yeah.
We're not on an 80-footer.
Yeah.
So yeah, this boat has the Yanmar 29 horse. It's a shaft drive with a 3-blade geared folding Gory propeller. So that's going to push the boat along really well.
Awesome. All right, let's head on deck and wrap up this video, I think.
Yeah, let's have a look at that lazarette.
Yeah. So this is the other possible way to access the lazarette from up top. You just got to undo that one. Oh, there it is. And here you go. You can get in here. So that's just the other access from the cockpit as opposed to the shower. All right. I love seeing the evolution of sailing yacht designs, which this clearly is, the 350, and they've had so much success with that previous 349. They're really, on initial observation, taken in so much of that feedback and made a good thing that's worthy of potentially an upgrade, which has clearly happened already in Australia for current 349 owners. But I personally think this has got broad appeal.
Yeah, for sure.
What's your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think you make a good point, Dan. It's really easy to fall in the trap of saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just, build a slightly different version of what we did. But they've really put all the feedback from the existing owners into it.
Yep.
And what they've learnt from other models, and by making these easy access side decks that slope down to the transom, it just opens up the boat to a whole lot of people, and it's good for older people. People who are a bit cautious. They might be coming from a powerboat.
Yep.
And they feel a bit intimidated moving around on a boat that's going to heel over.
Yep.
They might have grandkids or young kids themselves. It just makes them feel a little more comfortable to transit from the back of the boat to the bow and aft again.
Yep.
What I love is just the thought that's gone into it. The extra beam really opens the boat up, and it's just a very stylish, functional layout. But for me, running through the interior, the aft head,
That's awesome.
with the separate shower, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
For a boat of this size to have such a big head
Yep.
and shower is remarkable.
But as a couple, you could really happily do long weekends on Sydney Harbour, Mallorca, or wherever you are around the world. But then if you wanted to entertain 8 people for the day, you could do that. We have space.
Easily. I mean, you and I are sitting here,
You could have
space
three,
apart.
8.
3 to 4 easily.
Yeah.
And then, one aft on either side in the helm area.
Yeah.
But it's comfortable. There's plenty of space, and the same goes for when you go down below. 8 down below would be comfortable.
So the demographic, in your opinion, who might see some value out of this boat is a pretty wide one.
It is. It's a pretty broad group of people.
Yep.
But yeah, for sure. Look, the boat offers so much. It's cutting edge design in terms of ergonomics and styling.
Yep.
And they've really thought it through. I think it's going to appeal to a wide market.
Yep.
Normally we'll say, oh, who's this pitched at?
Yep.
But I think you could just really throw a wide net.
Yeah, I tend to agree. So guys, if you want to see how she performs under sail, that's a separate video. You can find that in the channel description. If you're trying to buy one of these boats right now, or if you want to compare this particular style to another brand or model that you're in the process of buying, Andrew's the professional. He's done the America's Cups. He's the professional sailmaker. He's on Minnect. Link is down below in the description. Feel free to drop him a message there. That was a lot of fun. Thanks, mate. I'm enjoying these
my
videos.
Pleasure. Yeah, it's been good.
So another boat is coming up on the screen right now. Go ahead and do the comparisons yourself. Nobody is sponsoring us. We just do these videos to help you help yourself. Hope that was useful. See you in the next one.